The mahogany casket was still open when it happened. Everyone in black, clutching tissues, whispering how tragic it was that Dad died so young. And right there between the finger sandwiches and the floral arrangements that cost more than most people's rent, my stepmother Karen grabs my arm, digs her fake nails in, and hisses loud enough for the entire room to hear. "You're not welcome here. This is my house now. Pack your little suitcase and get out before I have you removed." 20 relatives turn to stare. Some gasp. Some pretend they didn't hear. Exactly 11 minutes later, the family lawyer walks in with a folder, and Karen learns the house she just claimed actually belongs to the 27-year-old she just tried to throw out on the street. Stay until the end. What happened when the moving trucks arrived the next morning is pure ice-cold karma. Let's go back 4 years, so you understand why I stayed silent that long. Dad married Karen when I was 19. She was 41, former pageant queen, all teeth and venom. Within 6 months, she convinced him I was a financial burden. Dad still loved me, but he was weak when it came to her. So he paid for my college, gave me a credit card for emergencies, and quietly asked me to stay away from the house so there would be peace. I agreed. I graduated top of my class in finance, took every internship, saved every cent. At 23, I started buying distressed properties at courthouse auctions. Dad never knew. Karen made sure he did. She told him I was bumming around Europe because she was embarrassed her stepdaughter wore thrift store clothes to holidays. The truth, I was building an empire, one foreclosure at a time. 2 years ago I found the perfect one. The 6-bedroom colonial on 5 acres that Dad had always dreamed of retiring in. Karen had been nagging him for years to upgrade. He finally bought it, with cash. I quietly wired him through a trust he never knew existed. Title was put in an LLC called Maple Trust Holdings. Dad thought it was his banker being clever with taxes. Karen thought she hit the jackpot. I was the sole owner of the LLC. Dad died never knowing his difficult daughter had bought him his dream house. The will reading was scheduled for the day after the funeral. Karen couldn't wait. She wanted to establish dominance immediately. That's why she chose the funeral lunch to humiliate me. I flew in that morning wearing the same black dress I'd owned since college. Karen spotted me the second I walked through the door of the house I paid for. She marched over in her $5,000 black designer suit, pearls the size of marbles, and announced to the room, "Everyone, this is my stepdaughter. She's been living off my husband's generosity for years. Now that he's gone, that stops today. This is my house, and she is leaving." She actually snapped her fingers at the caterers. "Someone calls security. We have an uninvited guest." My aunt tried to protest. Karen cut her off. "Blood only, darling. Step doesn't count." Then she looked me dead in the eye and said, "Grab your sad little purse and go. You have 5 minutes." I didn't move. I just checked my watch. At exactly 2:15 the front door opened again. In walked Miss Hargrove, Dad's estate attorney, carrying a leather briefcase and a very thick folder. Karen's smile could have cut glass. She assumed this was the moment she became a millionaire widow. She greeted him with air kisses. "Finally, let's get this over with so we can all move on." Miss Hargrove didn't smile back. He looked straight at me and said, "Miss Harper, thank you for being here. We can begin." Karen laughed. "Begin what? She's not in the will." Mr. Hargrove opened the folder and started reading aloud. He began with the minor bequests, the cousins, the charity. Then he got to the main asset, the residence at 42 Maple Ridge Lane, including all furnishings, vehicles and surrounding 5 acres, held by Maple Trust Holdings, passes in its entirety to the sole beneficiary of the trust, Miss Emily Harper. You could hear Karen's heartbeat stop. Miss Hargrove continued. Furthermore, the late Miss Harper added a codicil 6 months ago witnessed and notarized, stating that in the event his spouse Karen Harper attempts to claim ownership or residency without Miss Harper's written consent, she is to vacate the premises within 24 hours or face immediate eviction proceeding. Karen went white under her spray tan. She started screaming that it was fraud, that I forged it, that Dad would never. Mr. Hargrove calmly slid a copy of the signed codicil across the table. Dad's signature, 2 witnesses, notary seal, dated, legal, undeniable. I finally spoke. My voice was quiet, but the room had gone so silent you could hear the ice melting in the lemonade. "Karen, you have 24 hours to remove your personal belongings. Anything left behind will be donated to charity tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. She lunged at me. 2 off-duty police officers I had hired for security caught her by the arms. She was shrieking, mascara running, calling me every name she could think of. My aunt started clapping, then my cousins, then the entire room. Slow, steady applause while Karen was gently escorted to the front door, the same door she had just tried to throw me out of. She tried everything in those 24 hours. She called the police, they told her it was a civil matter. And left. She called locksmiths, none would touch it once they saw the LLC paperwork. She tried to barricade herself in the master bedroom. The moving company I hired simply removed the door from its hinges. By 8:45 the next morning, 3 moving trucks were lined up in the driveway. Karen stood on the front lawn in sweatpants, hair in curlers, watching strangers box up her designer wardrobe. She begged. She cried. She offered to share the house. I stood on the porch drinking coffee from the mug Dad used every morning and said, "You told me blood only counts. Well, this house was bought with my blood, my sweat, and my money. You have 10 minutes before the trucks leave with everything." At 8:59 she was holding one suitcase and her purse. At 9 sharp the gates closed behind the last truck. I changed the locks, the alarm codes, and the Wi-Fi password. Then I opened a bottle of Dad's favorite scotch and toasted to the quietest house I'd ever known. 6 months later the house is officially mine, in every way. I turned Dad's old study into my office. Karen is renting a 1-bedroom 40 minutes away. She got a job selling luxury handbags at the mall. Ironic considering she's carrying the same bags she used to own. Last week she tried to friend request me on social media. I declined and posted a photo of the new marble kitchen island, with the caption, "Some people inherit houses, others inherit consequences." It got 200,000 likes. These days I still set an extra place at the dinner table for Dad. He never knew I was the one who gave him his dream home, but somewhere I hope he's watching and finally proud of the daughter he was told was a failure. If you've ever had a step-parent try to erase you, type 24 hours in the comments right now. Smash subscribe, turn on notifications, new story every single day. See you tomorrow for another round of Karma's Last Laugh.